Hello and welcome to this Car Pod.
I'm Filippo.
Today we have a special guest.
Nick, nice to meet you.
You're not meeting them, but Kenan is gone. He's in the Caribbean with his family. He's soaking up the rays. And so we have Nick as a replacement. Nick has been in a few videos. He's insane.
I'm around. We miss Kenan, though. There's no replacement for Kenan.
And he's got a bright yellow Land Rover shirt on because right after this video, we are taking his Land Rover off-roading, his bright yellow Land Rover.
Which you can see
behind me a little bit.
With the hood.
More on that in a future video.
Can't wait.
For now, we begin with the news, and there are many news topics to cover. Number one, McLaren has said that they are going to probably make an SUV.
Yep.
This is not that interesting. I don't know why I put this in. I mean, I put it in before there were a lot of news stories, and now I see it. Of course they are. Ferrari has an SUV, Bentley has an SUV, Rolls has an SUV, the Lamborghini Urus, and of course the Limo
Lotus has an SUV. And
Lotus has an electric Chinese-built SUV.
That's 6,000. Once Lotus makes an SUV, everybody can make an SUV.
That's true.
That gave them license.
It really did.
This is a rendering. This is not what it's going to look like under any
we know what it
circumstances.
will look like, and we know what engine will be in it, and we know approximately how many horsepower it'll make, and we know everything else about it.
It seems also like a no-brainer. As an enthusiast, I'm not excited at all for this, but the McLaren buyers will gravitate towards this much like the Urus did.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There was a McLaren 650 at daycare yesterday being used as a drop-off car. So it's like if there's
Sounds
a
illegal.
need here from a McLaren enthusiast for a car to take your kid to daycare.
This is actually, I've decided this is not news. We already expected it. Move on to the next topic. Lego has come out with a Lamborghini Countach. You seen this?
No.
If you were me, you had, because I was sent it by everybody I know.
Gotta love that.
I was tweeted by 3,000 people, and I was texted by people I haven't spoken to in years. Hey, get this. So I will get it. And I only put it as a news story to try to quell the tide of people telling me.
You know
about
what's
it.
going to happen. You're going to just get every single person that watches this podcast.
We'll tweet me.
We'll tweet you.
How many? That doesn't look like one of the ones that takes 2 days.
No,
to build.
it's 1,700 pieces or something. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
You and me will have to knock it out on a weekend with some cold ones since Kenan's not here.
Right.
Yeah.
You also have Nick to help you instead.
I'm a Legoland season pass holder, so I'm
what
good.
to do.
We can knock it out in like 3 hours.
You know, one disappointment about Legoland, there's not a lot of building that goes on.
There's that entire car room where you build a car to go down a hill.
Yeah.
The Ferrari one.
Yeah.
There's an F40 in there.
There is an F40.
Well, really, there's F40 wheels.
There is a Lego
And then a
F40.
Lego around it.
And I think the seats maybe are original. It's
Or
pretty
the
cool.
steering wheel. Yeah.
1-to-1 scale and like pretty. The F40 has the right lines, much like the Countach, that you can build it out of Legos. Pretty true to scale.
Right.
Also true of the P38.
Yeah, that's true.
But no one's ever done a P38 Lego. What a
Shocking.
surprise.
What a shame.
So anyway, there's a Countach Lego, and me and Filippo are going to do it this summer together while we talk about our emotions.
When does it actually come out?
July 4.
And you have pre-ordered it.
You can't pre-order, but I will order it. It's on my calendar. I will order it on July 4. I will have built it by September. Nick will build it when I come back.
That's what's actually going to happen. Isn't it? Every single thing behind me here was built by Nick, not this Nick.
Nick built them all. Even that crazy Audi that they sent me when I had a baby, as if I had all this time to build a Lego. And then Nick built it when he had a baby.
Yep.
All right. What's our next news story? Give me a real one.
There is a leak of what the new BMW X3 will look like.
Yeah.
It looks exactly like what you'd expect. It's the next one that's bigger. But it has this interesting grille
Right.
that I find odd.
Yeah.
It feels like somebody went to interior decorating school and when that was really in.
It's got an odd kind of pinstripey
backsplash.
kind of look.
But you like it.
I mean, they're going to sell 1 million of them, and no matter how much internet people complain, this is going to be a popular car. And frankly, I don't find it to be that bad. Unlike our next news story, which I'd like to devote more time to.
I thought this was an XM until you told me it wasn't.
I mean, the XM looks. You'll see in a second.
The picture that you've chosen is unflattering. It's zoomed way.
Okay,
this is a leak.
The X1 isn't. There's no flattering angle in X1.
I just think, the grills are getting bigger, and some of the design is a little bit odd. But BMW has proven to us time and time again that they are right and we are wrong. Except the E65 and the E63.
And
that's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think it's self-healing?
Yeah. Remember the XM has a self-healing grill.
Oh yeah.
The iX rather has a self-healing grill.
Oh yeah, the iX.
But yeah, to your point, this isn't news. I mean, when Chris Bangle was designing cars 20 years ago, it was incredibly controversial. His designs were fine. We have been overreacting to BMW's redesigns for decades at this point. And They keep selling cars.
They keep selling more cars.
They have a line out the dealership.
Someday
supposedly.
we, as enthusiasts, need to come to terms with the fact that BMW is not gearing these cars towards us. It's like when you see an attractive person, you comment. That person is not trying to attract you. They don't care what you think. It's the same situation with this. BMW is not. This car will be sold to millions of people who aren't us or Kenan.
I also don't hate that grill. It's
I don't,
kind of
the
interesting.
grill is a little much. I actually think the look of the car, it's hard to see, but I think the look of the car is okay, and they're going to sell a bunch of. The X3, in my mind, has actually been pretty derivative in terms of styling for a long time, and this looks like it goes a little further. Speaking of going further, this is the BMW XM. What is happening, Felipe?
Yeah.
What is the news story?
There was a news story this week that dealers are advertising 20 to 25 grand off sticker on these XMs, and like lease deals that are just wild. Now, of course, this car's worth 80 grand the moment it leaves the showroom floor. I don't actually know whether they are new, but 150. Is that what
this is the biggest modern day automotive flop.
Yeah. What is the BMW XM?
Let me explain what happened, because
they started 159.
Yeah, it's incredibly expensive. Over time, and it's slower than an X5M.
Right.
It's $50,000 more money, and it's slower.
Well, now it's only 25 grand more.
You know what I learned? You know what I realized what happened? BMW and Mercedes are engaged in this insane sales battle every year. They're like crazy rivals. They're desperate to beat each other. So BMW's been watching as Mercedes has been selling G-Wagons like crazy. And all the G-Wagon is a less practical version of their other SUVs at the very top of the lineup. So BMW's like, we got to get on that. But BMW can't just come out with an off-roader SUV. They have no heritage there, and their whole brand is built on performance. So this is their attempt at a type of G-Wagon-y thing.
You think? Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
That's where it's supposed to be positioned in the lineup, because they've seen how successful Mercedes is. The only problem is Mercedes has 50 years of heritage. It looks cool, and there's a perception that it can go off-road and do crazy stuff. BMW comes out with this. Most people think it's heinous. I actually don't think it looks that bad. It has many problems beyond how it looks. It is not a good car to drive. It is underpowered. It is overpriced. It is not particularly fast. And a lot of them are sold with these gold accents that that must have been designed over the phone.
Better than the red accents. That's also an option.
Right.
It is the equivalent of like a going out shirt for a older person. Like it's so tasteless. But I mean, I think ugly as a feature was what they were going for.
They were going for like distinctive, and like you saw it and you knew it wasn't an X5.
Right.
Because that's what the G-Wagon is.
Yeah.
You see it and you're like, whoa. Even though functionally it's the same as a GLE, like in terms of interior size and all that stuff. Yes, it can off-road more, but nobody does that.
Yeah.
So they're like, we can do that too. They cannot.
They cannot. And now we know.
I can't believe they're only 25 off.
Oh. You walk into that dealer at the end of the month.
Into the corner.
They'll give you whatever you want.
As a fellow salesperson, man, we're willing to make some deals at the end of the measurement period.
They've sold like 600 so far this year, which is actually 500
is that it?
more than I expected.
They're so bad. Everyone I see has dealer plates. You never see them with plates.
When you're not seeing an expensive car in Southern California, you know it's bad.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We drive around LA, North County, San Diego,
Orange
County.
Lot. Yeah.
You've seen one?
It reminds me of the DBX, where there was a year where the only time we saw a DBX was within 1 mile of the Newport Asta dealership or with a dealer plate. And those are actually breathtakingly good-looking cars, in my opinion. I don't have a silver lens here. No,
this has gone terribly as I thought it would. And I reviewed it. It's now been a year and a half since a little over a year since I reviewed it in Phoenix.
That's right.
And it was clear to me at the time it would fail. Everybody was talking about how ugly it was. I still don't think it's that ugly. It's just a terrible value. Possibly the worst new car value in the market.
And how cool would it have been had they actually done the off-road version?
Totally.
Like, I've seen early overland builds of X5s.
Yeah.
And they are so cool, and it lends itself so well.
These manufacturers are like afraid of doing that. Like the Sterrato was a crazy decision, considering that they're just like terrified, even though so many builds are happening in the aftermarket and all that. And BMW messed up. They went too sporty. They saw the Urus. They were like, we go there.
Yeah.
And it was a mistake.
Lamborghini should have also done a Dakar Sterrato build.
They should do a Dakar Sterrato Urus.
You think they won't at the end of the generation?
I don't know.
I want to see them not only do Dakar and Sterrato versions, I want to see the 4x4 squared equivalent, like
that
one level
so cool.
above that even.
That would be so cool. Mercedes-Benz has embraced this, and they have been rewarded with massive profits and massive sales. That's the only car built in Graz that's selling. And it's like absolutely going at it.
Yep.
I wanted 4x4
So I think they had the right idea here. Like, ostentatious, bizarre, attention-grabbing. It was just poor execution.
I actually feel bad. I was thinking about this when I was in the BMW museum. I feel bad for BMW. Every time they go to the top of the market, they fail.
Yeah.
The original M1 failed in 1980. The Z8 failed. The i8 failed. This thing, there is a way for them to do it.
Yeah.
It just never works.
The Halo car strategy has
never worked for BMW.
That's interesting.
But they've screwed up each one of them, kind of. The Z8 was great, and it was the most successful of them. But like the M1 was not what the market wanted. The i8, the market did not want a 3-cylinder supercar for 190 grand, and this is clearly not what the market wants either.
They do well in that like middle of the market though. Like even like the Z3 when it came out, it was like a Bond villain car.
Yeah.
Like they can build like a good attainable car, then they screw up the Halo. It would be easier to do the opposite.
Build a good Halo. They could have built an R8 type car. They just didn't.
Give it a 3-cylinder.
And they
engine.
could have built a G-Wagon. Exactly. They just did it. They just kind of mess it up a little bit. They don't know. They're not living that world.
They're trying too hard.
They're probably trying too hard. They went to Urus instead of G-Wagon. I don't know that either would have been successful, but the off-roading trend is so hot right now.
You really think that Lamborghini won't do an Urus Sterrato?
No, yeah, they
have to. Like, why not? I mean, the Huracan came out at the very, very end of the production run.
That's true.
It seems like something you do at the end.
Special editions are a good way to move a stale product, but the Urus has been out a long time, and it's still not here.
Yeah.
That explains the Borrego edition. Got it.
That's exactly what that was. What do you think? Let's talk about Toyota TRD Pro. As a TRD Pro owner, I drove mine into the office today. I've been driving it a bunch. Just put in my second tank of gas.
So big that he hit the building.
Every year, Toyota releases a new special color for only offered on the TRD Pro models. And this year, the color is called, what is it? Mud Bath? Mud Bath.
Something like that?
Accurate.
Can you run us through their good colors, TRD Pro colors?
Cavalry Blue. Cavalry Blue and Rebel Blue.
Two good ones.
And the original orange that was on the 15 TRD Pro 4Runner.
Yep.
Those colors changed my life.
Good.
Like you're talking about Lime Rush? You liked Lime Rush?
I kind of do. For a 4Runner, yeah.
I wouldn't get it, but I like seeing them.
Yeah.
Mud Bath is only okay. It's actually sad because this is kind of the third year in a row they've done sort of a mute. Well, okay, so for 23 they did Solar Octane, which is bright orange. For 24 they did last year was Terra, which I think is probably the worst TRD Pro color
Terra
they've
is
done.
rough. I saw one in person the other day and I forgot.
It's fine. It's just not special. Like it's just a color.
More orange.
TRD Pro also was one of the implementers of like the chalk cement thing.
Yeah.
They did that like when it was just starting to become a thing. The like flat gray that is now on every car.
I don't. Okay, I both hate this and think that it will look really good.
I think it's going to look great on the 4Runner and the Tacoma.
Yeah.
I was really nervous for the Sequoia that I didn't get the TRD Pro color from my year Sequoia because it was Terra. I could have gotten a used Solar Octane, but that's too much. I was really nervous 25 would come out and I would be like, damn, I wish I'd gotten that. I think brown.
You don't, no.
I kind of have started to come to the conclusion that maybe any weird color is just wrong on a vehicle that is 208 inches long.
It's so much color.
It's a lot.
Whatever color you paint it, it's a lot.
The Solar Octane ones are really not attractive. I think a Cavalry Blue would look really good on the TRD Pro Sequoia.
I don't know. It's a lot of blue.
It'd be a lot of blue. But that's like a flat and muted blue.
That's like the chalky blue kind of.
It was the light they did two blues. The Rebel Blue was the bright one.
Yeah.
It was like Grabber Blue on the Mustangs. And then there was Cavalry, which was like kind of muted.
Might be. The problem, can you name a single car that looks good in brown? Nothing's coming to mind for
I have
our audience is going to hate you for that, but I
have an S212 station wagon that I think looks pretty good.
I would love to see the sales data on the take rate of brown cars. It's
0%. Rounding.
But that's kind of their point with these colors. Like, have you ever seen a car that looks good in lime green? But they do it in
958 Cayenne, baby, press color, Peridot. I think the desert khaki.
Sold 4 of those.
If you're gonna do like a brown hue, the desert khaki.
The desert khaki, that was another good TRD
which
Pro
was a great
color.
But they already did that, so now they need to.
Maybe they're just running out of good colors at this point.
To an extent, they are kind of running out of good colors. A muted red might be nice. Terra was too reddish brown.
Nantucket red-ish.
Yeah, actually, that would be good. I think. I don't think you're welcome, Toyota.
Yep.
I don't
Ideas
mind
for you.
From
Toyota B. I've spent $19.94 on this.
Maybe you'll get it back.
You funded the focus group to pick brown.
Yeah.
I really do think it'll look good on the 4Runner Tacoma.
That is all that focus group cost because this is what they ended up with. No, I think it's fine.
They did a Google survey and spent $19 promoting it.
I actually did a focus group. They emailed me last night.
Wow.
For my, hey, you got a Sequoia, can you answer a few questions?
What'd you say? I've driven it 2 miles.
What features do you wish it had? You know what I said?
An iPad holder?
3. I said 3.
Fenders that did not have camouflage.
Oh my! I forgot to mention the camo fenders. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Front tow hooks, which is insane.
Wild that it doesn't have it.
The gauge cluster screen, you can, one of the displays has to be the boost gauge, which that takes up a third of the gauge screen.
It's
the
least
boost gauge,
customizable, fully digital screen I've seen.
It's a lot of the fully digital ones are pretty uncustomizable. Actually, that one is okay. And I said I wanted something else.
Do you want it?
More in-car storage. Like there's no. I have all this off-road gear in the car right now, and it's like rolling around.
Yeah.
I need like a
Did
bag.
you ask them to put, instead of Toyota in giant letters on the passenger side, like TRD Pro, Sequoia?
It's a little much, but I actually like it.
Mud bath.
You need like the touring edition of the Sequoia. It's like just tone everything down a little bit.
The Sequoia GT3 Touring. That is exactly what I want. And you know, it's funny because I posted all my mods that I had like removed all this stuff and like painted the wheels gray, like toned it all down. People are like, why did you even buy it? And it's like, because I wanted the hardware. I don't care about the cosmetics, stupid crap. But yes, Toyota Bee and Toyota Goat approve of mud bath. Give us the next news story. It gets better from here. Nick, take us through this one.
Willow Springs is for sale. It's passing all over the news. There's been prices that have been speculated, but it's largely like the assessment by the realtor or past prices. I mean, I think really it's hard to quantify what this is worth, but iconic racetrack. I've been here many times. I blew up my TTRS motor here.
Nice.
Even though you
How
like to
many
claim
times?
it was, the year later when it actually blew, it started here. It's a great track. It's really fun. There's Big Willow and then Streets of Willow. So it's technically 2 racetracks, but it's where like all the filming does. It's the closest racetrack to LA.
Yeah,
and you can buy it.
It's interesting to me. People say that it's not making a lot of money. I mean, it's out in the desert in the middle of nowhere. I have a suspicion that there could be a real financial money-making opportunity here, just because the production is constantly there. It's in LA. A lot of car commercials filmed there. A lot of YouTube channels and other things filmed there. A lot of people on the internet have asked me to buy it. I won't. This is another conflation that I live in Los Angeles. This track is like 7 hours. I mean, it's not possible to get up there. Our home track is Chuck Walla.
I've camped out here because it's far enough that you wouldn't want to try to drive it either direction in the same day you're tracking.
Especially when you blow up the motor.
He missed a shift.
Their pitch is that they're renting below market rate.
That's what they claim.
And also, it's generally accepted that it is rented out pretty much every day.
Everybody who's trying to sell a property claims that it's 100%. Rented below market rate.
But the problem is,
you could get more.
I feel like there is some truth to it. Could be managed in a way that makes them more money. And also, where else are they going to build a racetrack?
And have you ever been out there?
No.
It is way out there. This isn't one of those tracks that in 3 years a housing development's going to show up and kick them out.
Yeah.
This thing is like way out there.
Which also means that you can't get rid of it and build a housing development because who needs help?
No, there will never be
housing.
I mean, it's one of those places where acreage is for sale for like $5,000 because there's no white power or water to it or anything.
I think that the claims of it's undervalued, like it's like the used car dealer saying, I'm going to lose money on this one. Like they say that every time. It means nothing. But I do think there's a lot of very wealthy people in LA. They have insane car collections. There's Thermal Club out in Palm Springs.
But that's closer to us, essentially.
It's closer to us, but I think you could luxury.
I wonder about that. I wonder about that. It's a real endeavor, though.
Yeah.
Truthfully, if Thermal had the option, probably that's what they should have done.
All they need to do is add some like hangars and garage space. I know that a track I used to like to go in Arizona, they made the long straight long enough you could land a private jet on it. Then they had hangars so that you could fly in, track it, and then leave. Like
Thermal has houses, all along the main racetrack. Like you can buy lots and build a house. I've been in them. It's quite something.
Do you think that would still work with it being rented out every day by manufacturers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of different possibilities that some wealthy investor is going to come in and try to make work out here.
Please don't pitch Doug. Don't go up to Doug and say, "Hey, I got a real estate pitch for you."
Yeah, I'm never investing in anything ever again except for Nick.
Yeah. With 60 plus acres, you could put in a lot of like storage facilities for both cars and other things.
And you could probably eat Thermal's lunch if you really wanted to make the investment because the track's already here. Thermal had to build all that. Right. You could show up and just start selling lots and try to make it more tenable. The benefit Thermal has is it's fairly close to Palm Springs and this is close to nothing, but it is closer to LA.
If that $2 to $3 million range is even remotely an order of magnitude correct, the people that are trying to buy every new Ferrari to get on the list for the VIP cars, stop doing that.
Buy this instead.
This is a flex.
Way cooler than
no one cares.
Getting a Portofino M and selling it back to the dealer in 90 days.
Economic advice from a P38 owner.
Yes. All right, give us the last news
you know
story.
what else you could do there?
Oh. You still can't do it there.
No.
Nick, tell us what happened here.
Alex Choi produced a great video where
Who's Alex Choi?
He's a YouTuber. He used to be part of the DDE squad, but he's a young. I think he's in his early 20s. He's got a really cool McLaren. He's got a bunch of great cars. So he's also a pilot, or was into aviation of some sorts. Hired a helicopter pilot and basically did a whistle and diesel style shoot fireworks at the car while it tries to get away.
Okay.
And apparently,
was it a good video? Did you watch it?
Yes, it was a good video. It's not worth going to jail over.
I've only seen clips because I think it's been taken down from
Yes,
YouTube.
it's been taken down.
I was going to look at how many views.
Choi's videos, it should be stated, they're very rare.
Yeah.
But they're always among the very highest production content
Yes.
caliber videos that exist.
It was great. But yeah, the FAA, from what I'm told, revoked the helicopter's license already, the pilot's license.
Okay.
And he's facing jail time potentially, as well as huge fines for this.
Is he the guy that jumped a Tesla? He is.
Yes. Well, he didn't
filmed
jump
it. He didn't do it.
He was part of that. He organized the event, but
That's true.
someone else jumped it.
This isn't his first brush with the law.
Oh, there's been some incidents for sure. The Lamborghini up in LA where he almost crashed
Hit the motorcyclist.
Yeah. Choi's a little bit controversial, but his content is incredible. There's no question about it. And this video apparently was pretty incredible. I didn't watch it, but I watched a bunch of his stuff, and it's really good.
So the pilot can't fly anymore. There's jail time.
He's been arrested or something.
Honestly, I think this is silly. I don't think he should really face anything more than a fine here. It was just everyone was consenting to this. They were in the middle of nowhere.
You got to assume the government's position is we have to make you can't be doing this.
Yes, they're going to make an example out of him.
It was very public, so we have to.
Yeah. If you look at it any movie, like a Michael Bay film or whatever, he didn't have the permits, but what they did is something that is done all of the time.
Sure.
Or maybe allegedly didn't have the permits. We don't know.
There's some reality in what you're saying, I think. But at the same time, the YouTubers are going crazier and crazier for stunts, and some of them are finding, Street Speed. Remember when he did
I was thinking exactly
when he drove in the pond or whatever?
He got fined by the
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
I mean, this is America. We're the country where you're allowed to shoot fireworks out of a helicopter at a Lamborghini.
Apparently not.
Nick has never said anything more Arizona than that single sentence.
I mean, come on.
I do feel bad for Alex Choi, but it's a crazy situation. Getting views has become harder and harder and harder. When I started in YouTube 12 years ago, just having a Ferrari 360 got me millions of views. Yep. And now you got to shoot fireworks out of a helicopter at a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Okay, I run a lot of our operations here at Cars and Bits. My only thought is just they didn't have insurance.
No,
certainly,
but
nobody will ever insure that.
But that's how Alex Choi's production is. They do crazy stuff that is not insured, but you see it.
I'm trying to imagine just I filled out a lot of insurance applications in my day. The liability insurance form would be here.
Good old conservative.
You know what he should have done was bought Willow Springs.
Or filmed this outside the U.S., which is the other
liability issues.
Yeah, that's true. And Dubai, this would probably be just an average Saturday.
All right, we're going to move on next to our Talking Cars segment. Now, because we have Nick here today, Nick is going to be the one who talks cars, and I want Nick to take us through the two main topics in his life, which is, we'll start with the P38 Range Rover, which Nick has bought, and will soon be a build series on the Cars and Bids channel.
Nice.
I can't wait for this. We've filmed a few episodes already. Nothing's come out, but I bought the car accidentally at Legoland. And had to tell my wife once we got home.
That was the color of a Lego.
He bought it online, but he was at Legoland.
But it does look like it is a Lego.
It tracks. It's the color of a average Lego.
And I'm a big Lego guy, as we've established already.
Right.
The P38, which is the 95 to 2002 Range Rover, it's super boxy. David Beckham drove it. Princess Di would get driven around in it. It was the car
30 years
in the period. I mean, they sell for as little as actually, I had one offered to me for $1,000 with the premise of don't ever contact me again and get it out of here today. On the high end, you can see them go for maybe 25 to 30, but they're very undervalued because they're known for being not reliable.
But Nick's
undervalued, Nick?
I think they're
I think
undervalued.
you should clarify. They are low. They have low value.
As Nick talks it up during the build series, he will talk it up as being undervalued.
Yeah.
Now, Nick bought a particularly unusual one. In the very tail end of production, they came out with one called the Borrego Edition, where they were all bright yellow.
Wasn't there a second special edition that was also bright yellow?
There was a ton of special, not yellow.
Another bright yellow one, I thought.
There was like the Holland and Holland edition, the Vogue edition, the Anniversary edition. They were trying to push an unpopular car by giving as many special editions as they could.
And strangely enough, bright yellow was one of them.
I think it's the car to have if you're going to buy one of them. It's so fun.
I think a lot of people think of black O2 with the split 5 spokes.
You get a lot of looks. You get a lot of
edition.
The Vitesse. Yeah, it was yellow. There were 2 bright yellow
very
editions.
much.
How do you know which one you have?
I guess I don't.
But there have been some issues with it. The most recent issue was...
Well, this is my key. For people on the pod, you can't see. I'm holding fuse 31, which is labeled battery power. Essentially, I take the keys out and the fan and headlights stay on indefinitely until the battery dies. I bought a new battery thinking maybe that would fix it, but no.
Turns
Nick,
out.
when did this problem start occurring? What did you do to the car?
I wanted to clean it up nicely, so I pressure washed the engine bay.
You pressure washed the engine bay of a 25-year-old Land Rover.
Known for having electronic gremlins, so I learned a lesson.
And now the headlights won't turn off even with the car off.
Well, they kind of flicker. It's only the passenger side headlight.
I knew that.
The
It's only
driver's
the passenger side headlight. That's the other thing.
I found a new electric fan shroud for $200 on eBay. Like, the thing is, everything is solvable here with enough money and time.
Why do you think the fan shroud is? There's
There's
wiring.
a sensor, basically. Everything I've read is either the AC is overcharged or something, the engine thinks it's too hot, and that's why it's trying to cool.
The trials and tribulations of this car have been unbelievable. Nick took it to a mechanic who said he'd get it done quickly, and he had it for 2 months.
Yes.
And did in that
it was
time.
good. And in that 2 months, I was promised it would be ready tomorrow. For 3 weeks straight.
Did they do the work eventually?
Take
most
a guess.
of it.
They had the car 7 weeks. Take a guess how many hours of labor they built.
Build or performed?
Either.
20.
7.
Yes.
Jeez.
My bill for 2 months of work was very affordable because it didn't get a whole lot done.
The Countach was gone for 2 months, and I had the transmission rebuilt, the carburetors tuned, the valves.
Hey, but his bill wasn't $50,000.
That's true, but also he only had 2 things done, and when he went to pick it up,
Well, the number of things happened when I went to pick it up. One, it was completely dead. He left the headlights on overnight and then told me, oh, it must be an electrical draw. You're going to have to keep it here to solve that. The exhaust wasn't fixed, so it was still straight piped. And then 3, it's still leaking oil everywhere, which was the main thing that, yes. It's less now.
Can you expect it to not leak? I mean...
No, but I mean, like the oil drain plug is the wrong size. This is a solvable problem.
As I recall, when you dropped it off though at the shop and told him it was leaking oil, he laughed at you.
Yeah, that's
The
true.
oil drain plug is the wrong size, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's if you go look underneath, it's only like screwed in about halfway.
That seems so feasible.
It's just
to
too
fix.
long. It
Well,
won't
do an oil change and just...
Well, I'm going to do that in my driveway, is basically back it out and then try to plug a new one in and spill as little oil as possible.
All of this is going to be captured in this build series, and then Nick's going to try to sell this thing on the website.
Everybody, please enjoy watching him pull out the drain, the only thing holding in the oil, and then just try it.
So these are the reasons why they aren't well respected from a resale value. However, the car is so much fun.
We all wish to own a P38 Ranger. I legitimately wish that I could emotionally afford a P38 Ranger.
It looks great. Okay, I'm in this car maybe $10,000.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's as fun as a Bronco or a G500. Like, it's boxy, it's off-roady, it looks way cooler.
Sitting in a Range Rover is just a unique experience.
No, it's an amazing seating position and driving experience. They are worthless.
They are for people who want to get their hands dirty or at least aren't afraid of a mechanic's belt.
They're so good you can't assign worth.
I have always found it funny that an O2 G-Wagon, that was the first year of the G-Wagon, an O2 G-Wagon is still a 25 car in nice shape. An O2 Land Cruiser is probably a 15 car in nice shape. An O2 Range Rover, by the way, these cars were all the same price new. An O2 Range Rover is worth $1,000 with the promise that you'll never call me again. Like, if the car had only been a little bit reliable, it would be so cool. Even half as reliable as a 100 series Land Cruiser.
They're so cool, though. I'm jealous.
Because it's the best looking of all those.
I do think as an enthusiast, though, it's been a good experience. Like, I'm enjoying it, and it's becoming an enabler of sorts, where I'm like, okay, like, it's having problems. It gives me something to tinker on and work on, which I kind of enjoy.
And your cost basis is pretty low.
My cost basis is low, and like, what else is there that's extremely undervalued requires you getting your hands dirty, but then is so rewarding when you drive it. So I'm looking at Quattroporte,
Well, so that's
Continental GTs.
our next topic here. Nick has always had some bizarre vehicles. He money shifted a TTRS. He had a Camry with no title.
Everyone's had that. There's a lot of Camrys with no titles out there.
Your titles are optional once you get to a certain age.
Yeah, he stole a Camry, and then he has had this P38. He's got a Murcielago. He's had all sorts of crazy stuff. But
Right, he's the lone P38 Mercy owner.
the next project is...
Well, what I really want to do, and I'm now getting further along, is buy a Maserati Quattroporte. I was originally thinking the later ones with the ZF transmission were the ones to get.
Yeah.
However, the
Generally
Duo Select
accepted.
transmission is very similar to the 430 transmission, which means a manual swap kit, other than lengthening the cables and a couple other things on the interior, should be largely plug and play. So I've exchanged some emails. I've got a guy willing to make me a kit.
But he wants the car, right?
I've got an installer. Well, the car's free. There's several on Craigslist right now for like $2,000 that are like, hey, this doesn't work, or it needs like, it's always like a minor fix. Like, oh, it's pretty much fine. It just needs like one little thing and you can drive it away, but bring a flatbed. But you could buy it for maybe $5 for a running and driving example.
The engine's reliable, if memory serves.
It's got cam variator issues.
There was a problem that was a problem from the 03 to like 10 models.
Okay.
And they sold them through 13.
Yes.
So if you get a late one, you can avoid it. But if you
But
get
then
the
you
late one,
get the
you
ZF.
have the torque converter auto.
Yeah.
And he's over here trying to convert to a stick.
A stick converted Quattroporte would be so cool.
Was that ever offered with a stick?
No. You know,
In
the
other markets,
original Panamera was offered with a stick.
Yeah.
True.
You could wait. We're getting there. 10 more years.
Yeah, the original one's a little tough to look at. I think the Quattroporte is just gorgeous.
It is a beautiful. I saw one actually yesterday. A early Duo
Yeah.
Select car yesterday.
Were
and
you
I was
driving
like,
by a mechanic?
That's some Nick. Dude was just driving it like it was normal, like it was a car, even though it is not a car.
You do occasionally see, especially the later ones, over 100,000 miles. So like someone has figured out a way to keep them on the road, even though
I think if you want reliability, which you don't, the ZF and post cam variator, if you get a 10, an
Yeah.
11, 12, 13, I bet it's going to be a pretty reliable car.
you're pretty fine. And even like there was an 09 on the site that sold for 13,250 that
Pull that up.
was ZF transmission. It had 20-some thousand miles. Now, the Carfax said that there was structural damage, but it had never been in an accident, and it was really unclear.
This one, 09 ZF.
I bid on this, and then I also asked some questions, but like we could never explain why it said structural damage. But
Yeah, plus it was
I mean, for
$13,000
$13,000,
title and in Florida. That's the dream.
you could even if the cam variators go bad or other issues happen, it's got 26,000 miles on it. You got some time if you're not dailying.
What does a cam variator thing cost to fix? Because this one reported ticking at idle.
You can preventatively fix it with like $3,000 where they change the lifters and do some things. If it's too late and the damage is already done, you're maybe in at 5 to 8, but it's fixable.
Was this interior red?
No,
No,
it was
like tan.
The dash though. Like click on
Yeah,
that.
I think it's
Is
just
that a
wood.
red
Is it-
steering wheel?
Isn't that wood? Oh no, it's
Like dark red.
red
right?
leather.
Red leather on the upper
I
dash.
think it's like a dark brown saddle, but
I don't hate
yeah, I mean, they had some cool color combos you could
They
find.
did.
Look
A
at
lot
those
of people
seatbelts.
modded these because it's like a fake it till you make it kind of car. So a lot of them are like matte black.
Well,
or
go
like
back. There's one.
have
There's one
rims.
we just sold. It
That
looks
was a
like.
current.
But this one had the best wheels. Like you could find some really good looking ones.
Why is that not?
And everyone says that's owned them that they're wonderful to drive. They
Oh,
sound
this
great.
is you don't have no interest in the new body. You only
Correct.
want the old one.
I honestly can't tell the new one and the Ghibli apart.
Oh,
Yeah, it's only a length thing. Like
Yeah.
they basically do look the same.
look at. I mean, this is just.
Yeah, they don't
gorgeous.
sell for
Yeah.
much money. It is a beautiful car. It always was.
I don't actually like how they look, but it's still gorgeous for $7,800.
I also think that the earliest ones were the best looking. The
Yeah.
facelift car, I wouldn't even
Agreed.
consider going down your road. The facelift cars are much better to own, to drive, to live with. But that side profile image, like
But
that,
look at this though.
the hood, the grill was nice. Look at
No, that's not
gorgeous,
What I, no,
gorgeous car. Grill was great.
No.
He's wrong. He doesn't. Know.
And there's a lot of them for sale that have very low miles because the problem with these F1 transmissions or Duo Select, as Maserati called them, is you still have to replace the clutch as often as a 430. So you can get maybe 10 to 15,000 miles out of the clutch. That's an expensive job, and it's very jerky for daily driving.
How can it not get more miles out of?
Nick,
Wow.
you should get a late one and just not manual swap it and just like live it.
Yeah,
Like a 12 you can buy for like 20, probably 25.
but where's the sense of adventure? I won't have to go around with a fuse puller every time I drive it somewhere. It'll be reliable.
Have you considered a fortune?
Yeah, the 4th gens are all legal now. but it must have been a terrible car.
Oh, I mean, look at it.
It's so cool. You know, this is Gandini.
I think it looks cool.
This is Gandini. I think it is so cool.
It's such a cool car.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in the...
A lot of people don't even know this existed because this was the only Quattroporte that wasn't sold in the U.S. Well, maybe the very early ones, but in the 70s, they sold the Quattroporte 3 in the U.S. for a long time. And then the 4 came out, didn't sell it here. You got the Gandini kink on the over the back window.
Very Diablo Countach.
Yep.
That rear end, though, is like a bad Phaeton. Like an AI-designed Phaeton grafted.
Go back. I think it looks... No, that looks good.
It looks Volkswagen to me.
That is so cool. Man, that thing is cool.
Look at this interior.
Yeah, that rear end too is just...
The interior is bad. The interior
No, I consider this great.
You think this is a nice-looking interior?
So bad that it looks cool.
Do you think wood's going to come back? Like, wood was all the rage in the 90s.
Wood is
now
still,
carbon fiber trim is in everything.
Wood is still hot, but it's the flat wood is the thing everybody wants now. Like, glossy wood will never come back. Well, maybe someday because everything's cyclical, but like glossy wood and beige interiors are gone. But flat wood is like just as hot as anything can be right now.
It's just like tube socks are coming back and baggy jeans for women. Like, it's only a matter of time before like big luxurious burl wood like that is like hot.
Maybe. That's probably true.
Nick, I have a question for you. Stick or automatic?
That's a tip, right?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's the most.
It looks like a manual
shifter you can imagine. It looks like it's the first gear right here.
So you want a QP5 and you're going to do it. So once the P38's gone, our next build series will be you trying to put a stick shift in a QP5.
A QP5, however, I rented a Continental GT on Turo. And those
in
are,
Miami.
Those are pretty affordable. There's one on the site right now that I plan to bid on. No
Nick only pretends to be a respectable person.
Yes.
Can we pull up the Continental?
Does he even try to pretend?
Yeah, these cars,
Nick wants this.
They transact pretty affordably. The W12 is a little scary, but I think that's why they are affordable.
W12s rack miles. People get miles.
Yesterday, I had dinner with Doug, and we were talking said that this is his favorite engine of all time.
All time. Favorite gas engine. The one in the Bentley specifically, the twin turbo, not the regular Audi one.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and it's so unique. So if you're trying to check your bucket list of automotive cars, right? You have a supercar, you got a Mustang, you got all these different things. An unreliable British car needs to be on that list somewhere.
Well, and at 12s, I truly my favorite gas engine ever. Maybe the Carrera GTs is the engine was so good.
And the Carrera GT versus the sale price of whatever this goes for is quite a magnitude different.
Yeah. I think that these cars are special. We were actually what we were talking about was because you don't care as much about reliability. You're willing to kind of take yourself into scary positions. I'm not. He's not. What we were talking about was what year? Because the problem with these W12s is the expensive ones are going to be reliable, but then it's enormous depreciation. By the time they've depreciated to a level that we want to buy it, you're hitting the unreliability. So like what year and car is there that you could get for like maybe 60, 65 grand? Or is that starting to get unreliable? Like, is there a sweet spot of reliability and cost? Because this one is going to have some reliability.
I mean, how many miles does it have? 58,000?
The problem with these cars is that it was also mid-2000s Volkswagen Audi.
Yeah,
so like the electronics and all that.
Like my Murcielago, it'll be fine. I think the move here is
a Mercy and a Conti GT is
what a
212
cylinder.
Yeah, but I think the move is the first model year. They always say avoid. There's a lot of quirks.
4.
If you get the last model year, they haven't fixed all of the problems, but they've fixed some of the glaring ones. Same with this P38. Like, it's the last model year. They didn't fix everything, but some of the like really annoying electric gremlins, like the BECM. I dropped my fuse if you're looking.
They fixed the electric gremlins. You're holding your fuse because your passenger light stays on when the car is turned off.
That was a self-inflicted gremlin. They get better over time. Maybe not like on how Tesla does it now, where it's over the air, but like they fix a few oopsies each model.
The problem with this car, though, that's true. But the problem with this car is over time the W12 got rarer because they came out with a V8 and that became a huge portion of production then, and so it actually becomes harder to find, even though it probably did get better.
I'd imagine the W12's biggest problem is it barely fits, so it's an engine out for anything, or just a lot of labor.
The one I really like is actually the second gen Flying Spur, but we have one I think going live today, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah,
those are even cheaper.
We do have one going live today.
Well, no, this body Flying Spur, this one, that car. What is that? Purple? Why didn't I buy this? Oh, yummy!
Purple
light
on white.
sapphire.
That looks cool. Purple on white looks cool.
Barely driven too.
But that's a V8. See, that's the problem.
Right. You gotta find a W12. Like this one was, but.
My rental was the V8.
Yeah, how
the
was
guy
your
had
rental experience?
2 of them on Turo, as well as a
cool.
handful of other cars. But I think it is more reliable, that 4.0 V8s and everything.
Yeah.
And like you can run a decent Turo business off of it. So I think it was a smart buy. It looks
Plus
richer.
in Florida, they maintain it in a way that.
Wait, sorry, we got to talk about Turo for 1 second.
Turo.
Okay, I did a video review of a Maserati Gran Turismo convertible that went live today, Wednesday, and as a part of that, Turo has given us $1,000 gift card to give away. So if you go to that video, you watch it. There's a link in the description to go to Instagram, or if you just go to our Instagram.
So if you
there's a giveaway.
Who do you have to follow to get the 1,000?
You have to follow Turo and Cars and Bids.
Turo and Cars and
you have
Bids.
to comment on that post. But
And
you
you
can
have
get
to
a $1,000 gift card, and that's a lot of.
You could win a $1,000 gift card.
That's a Bentley for like a week. That's solid.
I remember when I had
you could
Turo
drive your
bucks.
dream car for a week. You can be like Nick in a Murphy for a day or two.
You know, we got Kenan for his birthday a Turo gift card. And on the last car pod, he was like, yeah, a good birthday gift, you know, it's like meaningful. You had to work really hard at it. You had to go in period. And I'm like, I emailed him a gift card. Like, this feels personal.
He thinks that Kenan was personally calling him out for buying a not good enough gift for him. How much was the gift card for?
$300, which should be like a solid day of any car you want, pretty much.
Yeah. But I appreciate that you at least rented a Conti to make sure you like it before you bid on this.
Loved it.
You will bid.
It's such a good use of Turo. Is basically like the couple day long test drive of the car you want.
You will bid on this, right?
I also think Turo. Yes, I will be bidding on this car. The photographs are so bad it actually makes me more excited about it. My R8 when I bought it also had the same sepia filters where you're like, I don't know what color this car actually is if you removed all the Instagram-y stuff.
It's a little bit
some of the because I was gonna say the headline shot looks like
some of them are fine. I mean, you know, but like
the interior
is like okay, it's somewhere between orange and tan.
This is a great color combo. This like army-ish green over
brown.
It's such a handsome car.
Okay,
can I borrow it if you?
Our next topic of conversation.
Thank you.
Is the Cars and Bids Market Report, which is brought to you by Cars and Bids.
Whoa.
Cars and Bids is the leading online automotive marketplace for vehicles 1981 and up.
Modern enthusiast cars.
Modern enthusiast cars. Sell your enthusiast car at carsandbids.com.
It's free to sell on Cars
Free
and
to
Bids.
sell.
And we have an industry low buyer's fee.
Ooh. Okay, let's
can
talk
join
market
the other
report. There's two things.
600,000 users.
There's
on our
two
site.
things I want to talk about on market report. Okay,
Great.
Because we got to get to questions because people love the questions, and there's some very good ones.
I see which ones you've highlighted. And
No.
I've
I want to talk about these two. Number one, flippers. Flippers.
like fish.
Like the Dolphin.
Go to the Mustang Dark Horse or the GX. I don't care which one.
Let's do GX.
Or the Cybertruck. When we launched this business, it was in 20. Cars were COVID constrained. This is probably not the most business friendly thing that I'm talking about right now, but I'm going to just tell you the truth. The truth is what you get here on this podcast. When we launched the business in 20, market was constrained, and we were selling a ton of flipped cars. Like you could buy a GR Corolla at the dealer and sell it for like 10 grand more, and we made money, and the sellers made money, and everybody was happy.
I mean, remember R1Ss,
Rivian R1S,
EVs,
Hummer EV. We were making a killing
Teslas
on flipped
in
cars.
general.
Everything, plaids, flipped cars. We're making a ton of money. You buy it new at the dealer, you sell it the next day because supply was so constrained that this was going on. Well, flippers are still trying to sell cars that they're flipping, and it is over. I'm here to tell you, it is over. In the days of 7% interest rates and car inventory levels back to normal, we had this Lexus GX that we put up. And by the way, we generally have a policy that if someone comes to us with the first of something, we'll run it because we want to kind of know where the market is.
Of something
for something cool.
desirable.
That's something special. Yeah. We want to run it. We want to know where the market is. And so we ran this. And what was the sticker on this? 71.1. So if someone was willing to pay 72 plus the fee, so there's a little room there.
Yeah.
But once you factor in the taxes, which this dude paid because it's got plates, there's no meat on this bone anymore. And the other one was this Mustang Dark Horse.
Yeah, I mean, somebody was willing to pay $75 for this, which is more than they would pay at a dealer.
Yeah, more than they would pay at a dealer.
Etc.,
but not enough to justify. I mean, we were selling Hummer EVs for 2x.
Yeah.
2x.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is not just a Cars and Bids thing. I'm saying this as a market report conversation because flipping new cars is generally over.
I can think of like some really special low allocation
Porsches,
maybe,
Ferraris, some Lambos. There's some of those cars.
where you just like where buying it at a dealer requires that you also bought a Portofino.
There's long wait lists, that kind of thing. But like the days of flipping a Tundra TRD Pro, which someone did on the site, the days of flip, like it's done.
It's done.
It's done.
I think you're actually massively understating it. You have dealer and dock fees, taxes.
Yeah.
The out the door price and the sticker price
Yeah.
are thousands of dollars.
And that's
like,
assuming these people paid sticker.
and then the phantom
Right.
cost too. Like even if you only hold it for like a month or two, you've got insurance, you've got gas,
Yep.
you've got to find a place to store it. I mean, that guy lost 10 grand on that $900 flip.
Yeah. Well, he didn't. He
When you
didn't,
factor
he didn't
in
cut
all
it loose. He didn't sell it. But the truth is, he's not going to make a lot more trying to sell it. And this is a good example too. What's the sticker on this?
The sticker on this was 67.
67, bid to 52. Honestly, new Mustangs are fine. You can find them. They're at dealers. They're online. They're listed. They're easy to find. There's no,
There's no
market
demand
to
here.
flip them anymore. And so
Yeah.
I don't. Like you said, some super low volume cars. And yes, there is some money to be made if you factor out.
Yeah.
But
if
once,
you do my math of ignore
math.
all the holding costs and just look at the sticker, maybe you made money.
But flipping, I think we're kind of coming to the end of flipping just like normal cars. Maybe another car comes out like the Bronco that's super hot for the first 2-3 months.
Yeah.
There will be flipping abilities of that. And we saw that with Cybertruck. I mean, there's still a little over sticker,
still
right?
10 grand probably.
Yeah. But
that's-
again, not enough when you justify paying
My,
sales tax.
my favorite movie, The Big Short, they knew it was a bubble when the dancers were buying multiple homes. The equivalent here was my realtor when I bought my house. His wife was flipping TRD Pros on the side. She knew nothing about cars. She was just like, oh, it's easy money. I make 10 grand. I'll buy it in Kansas and I'll sell it in California. And it's like, that's a bubble.
Yep.
That is a bubble. Someone who doesn't know anything about
The
cars is
difference
flipping
was
them.
the market never had to fail, unlike in the housing market. The market never had to fail to correct it. We just needed inventory levels to come back up. And
It
now
was
it's kind of normal again.
100% of supply.
Although, Toyota has the lowest day supply of any automaker.
Yeah.
Toyota. And if you factored out it's like 36-day supply.
If you press out the BZ4,
If you and so like Dodge has like 150-day supply. If you took out the BZ4X, I bet Toyota would have negative day supply.
Yep.
It's just that one car.
Which
And
is super ironic because they invented the whole idea of supply on
Yeah.
demand and like
You can't get-
manufacturing in
and
real
yet
time.
you can't get one. Also, remember during COVID, Toyota announced that they had solved the supply chain issues and soon they'd be back up to regular inventory levels.
They had that fire, that factory.
Oh, there was the fire.
Can we talk?
You still can't get a Sienna. It's literally not possible to get a Sienna. You can get a Mustang Dark Horse for 15 off. You want a Sienna? No.
Can we talk about the Mustang for a second?
No. We're moving on to our next.
I mean, we're gonna.
Well done.
Demand is lower for these than I expected.
It looks too similar. It's just too similar. It's
Like
not.
the Dark Horse should be the most special one.
It's not
And 15
special
grand
enough.
off sticker with 30 miles. This is a new car.
I also
it
think
might actually be a new car. It
One
might not
thing
be
I've
titled.
noticed also, the types of people who were affected, especially by interest rates, those are the cars that have slowed the
Yeah.
most. Tesla is a good example, actually. The super high-end cars, G-Wagons are still real hard to get.
Yep.
Those people they don't really care as much. Your Mustang buyer does.
I think Ford kind of messed up a little bit on the redesign.
I definitely think that. But I think there's a lot of resources being diverted to a lot of projects right now,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of cars are being redesigned in a pretty small way.
Yeah.
Pull up the Supra. You saw this sale? We saw a Mark IV Turbo Supra for 162 US.
Big money.
Big money.
Especially for a non-hardtop coupe.
Yeah, for a sport roof, which in my opinion is more desirable because
Fast and the Furious.
Also,
in the
You
Fast
can
and the Furious,
hijack some DVD
you can
players.
hijack some DVD players.
And also T-tops.
What do you want to
equivalent,
bet
The
that
best.
the dude who bought this car, it was a 9,900 mile totally unmodified car. What do you want to bet right now he's hijacking DVD players in the desert? I bet he's
Is it still as lucrative as it once was?
no. It's lost a little cachet. Those people, their
Can you
music's
imagine?
digital now.
Do you think eventually
He's
you
going to
will
rip
watch-
those DVDs.
You guys both have children. Eventually you'll watch the Fast and the Furious movies
Oh,
with
yeah.
your kids. How much will you have to explain about what the world was like in 2000 that they are hijacking giant TVs?
You know
I
what?
mean giant in volume, not in the screen size.
And the real thing you have to explain is why this guy's saying that Ferrari's more than you can afford, pal, to the guy with
Yeah,
the Supra.
yeah,
right.
When these are selling for 162.
Yeah. Kenan had a great result on his F355 and
It wasn't 162.
Was it 162?
I love this car so much. I want one of these so bad. It's all I
know.
think about.
This is the highest. There aren't that many 10,000 mile manual turbo Mark IV Supras. This is the highest result in about a year.
Yeah.
At least public result in about a year.
Yep.
I think they just keep going up.
Yeah, no, the market has actually slowed a little from the peak, but generally they're
but, like,
certainly not.
compared
They're
to
not
other-
crashing.
Yeah.
and they're certainly going to be staying here. Like this is. I was hoping that prices would come down. I could get a nice Mark IV. It looks like I'm going to be stuck getting a tip, an A.
Have you considered Mark III or 5?
I would. The Mark III is cool. I actually love the 5, but it's not. This car is.
The 4 special.
When we grew up,
Yep.
this is the car we couldn't afford, and now all these years later, this is still the car.
So true.
I wonder to our previous discussion about Halo cars for BMW. I wonder if the move for Halo cars just to get it in an iconic movie rather than trying to
The problem
design
is
them
it took 20 years.
They couldn't sell these new.
They They sold them,
but like it wasn't an easy feat.
No, it wasn't a very popular car at the time. I remember.
They're
Even I
so
remember as a
expensive.
kid, they weren't particularly. And honestly, I've driven them. They're not that amazing to drive. It's a car that has transcended the driving experience, much like vintage Ferraris and things. And the Countach, honestly, it's become more about like the culture, the iconic nature of the car.
What do you think this car cost you? There's a window sticker.
It's like 60.
It was 51.7.
Which adjusted for inflation is probably what, 100?
Right?
What a barg.
It's a buy. But it isn't, the cars that grow exponentially like this do eventually level off. They don't lose money, but they just kind of get stuck there. I think
Maybe. Most of them do, yeah. I could see this someday being. These are more than NSXs now. A really clean, low mileage 95 NSX probably gets 160, but
Barely.
the Supra definitely does.
105K new if you account for inflation.
yeah.
Really?
So
it
it's
was a
not-
tough sale at the time.
Again,
Interesting.
if you're looking at that versus investing in any index,
Oh,
fund,
yeah,
terrible
I mean,
investment.
Terrible investment.
But you can drive this 9,981 miles.
Yeah.
Correct.
It
Okay.
does seem like they go to hundreds of thousands of miles. Like I wouldn't personally seek out a low mileage example.
No.
I'd want a driver that I
No,
could.
if the right driver showed up on the site, I would probably try to buy it. We have tried to sell some with super high miles. We've seen some other places come up. This
Sold a
was
bunch
a
of JDM
Japanese
ones
market.
now.
Yeah, this one I think had miles, didn't it?
Not a stick though.
We sold one with some real miles. Was it this one? We're
93,000.
The 2JZ is famous for
automatic
going.
for
And-
62.5 for 93,000 miles.
Should have bought this and converted it. It's also
You can convert it with a couple of cold ones over a weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
actually,
That's
like,
true.
TJ Hunt has done these so frequently that I think he could do
Take
it.
it up to TJ's just
Yeah.
up the street. Have him do it over with a couple of cold ones over a weekend. Okay, I want to talk Q&A because that's our everybody loves the Qs. Now remember, you too can ask questions at the Cars and Bids This Car Pod. You just have to go to carsandbids.com, go to the Communities tab, and there will be a post there where you can put in your questions and we will answer the top upvoted question. And the questions, 5 of them maybe. And this week, the top upvoted question is from The Farce. Question for the fellas. He doesn't know you're here, but you can
That's
answer.
fine. I'm a fella.
What sports car or supercar should get the Dakar/Sterrato treatment? Personally, I think making an off-road R35 GTR would be cool. But what sports car or supercar should get the
would be cool.
Dakar?
Is the new GTR still the R35?
Yeah.
They updated the. No, okay.
Yeah, that's R35. Yeah,
Still.
since 10.
But I thought they did the refresh. I don't know if they.
they've refreshed it 1,000 times, but it's still the R35.
As it should be.
The answer to this question, Nick?
I mean, there's a lot, including several we already talked about. The question was sport or supercar, right? I will first say that I personally would like to see an RS6 wagon made,
that'd be cool.
like combine basically an all-road and the RS6. Same
into
with the E63 and the all-track or whatever they call
Remember
it.
they did that all-terrain E-Class
Yeah, I
concept
do.
car with portal axles?
But it doesn't make sense that we're not doing this treatment to non-sports cars first. The Urus, the Purosangue,
Yeah.
the McLaren, whatever it will become. There are so many cars. You should Dakar everything, or have that as an option.
I agree with that. Yes, this. The E400 all-terrain 4x4
Oh my
squared. That was an
gosh.
actual concept car Mercedes-Benz did.
So cool.
That is something.
Not
Not good looking. Maybe I take back everything I just said. Wagons do not look good lifted with big wheels.
We don't actually want these things. What would be a good off-road build? I mean, my answer was the 911. I actually think a 911 Turbo would be super cool. They did it with the Carrera S, which is fine, but not as cool. I think a Turbo would be cool. What else would be really good off-roaded?
Anything. Kind of. At the moment, I think it would work for literally a GR Corolla.
I don't think it works for anything. I think a 296 would look dumb. I think McLaren's would look weird. Aspark Owl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that 7
might
Series
actually
you
be-
found that was turned into like a Dakar tribute? Like it works
Yeah.
surprisingly well on a lot
You know
of
about
cars.
this?
Yeah.
I'm looking through like new supercars right now.
I'm looking at your Ford GT right now.
Yeah, that
I know
could look cool.
It's not
I
a
don't
new
know.
car, but it would work.
You know what would be cool is a Bentley Continental GT, like the one that Top Gear did. That would be cool.
I think
I don't think it's as cool for supercars, to be honest. I think the Sterrato did great, but I don't think like generally. I think a 750S would look weird off-roaded.
it seems like if you're the type of company that's trying to push a product no one wants or is having trouble validating the excuse to upgrade, then make a special edition of that. Like special editions have always been a way to push a tired vehicle. So that Mustang, for instance, if it's not selling for sticker, Dakar
The
that.
Sterrato though was a pretty considerable. It wasn't just like your car, which
I know,
was
but
paint and a.
the Huracan's been out forever, and they have to keep coming up with special editions because they're unwilling to refresh it sooner.
The Mustang actually would be. You know what would be cool? XJ220. Actually, he said R35 GTR. That would actually be
That
cool.
would be cool. Maybe. Smart. I will say, you don't even, like, nobody's going to take it off-road. You just have to say that there's suspension travel, and, like, that's it.
I would have taken a Sterrato. You go on Instagram. I follow the Sterrato hashtag on Instagram as I nearly bought one. And there's some off-road content.
The Lamborghini did it well, but you don't have to.
I agree with you, though, that they first should be doing it with the off-roaders. I think or with the SUVs. A Puro Sangue, a Bentayga, an Urus off-road version, I think would be cool.
I don't think it would look right.
My problem with these brands is like they're like, oh, we make the best sports cars, we're gonna make the best sport SUV. Don't you think if you make the best sports cars, then for SUVs you should make the best off-road SUV? That's the thing that makes sense.
If you already have the sports car, you don't need another sports car. You need something.
If you've conquered the track realm with a car, now conquer the off-road realm, and that's what Lambo did with the Nick Special. Yeah, the LMO too.
I'm a little surprised that you haven't named a convertible to be off-roader, given that you are an off-road convertible fan.
Yeah, I am, but I kind of
SL63.
No, that'd be weird.
A Vogue. Well, I mean, that's not really a sporty car.
Okay, next question from Dulex. Question for Doug. Do you regret reviewing a car? And if yes, which one, why? Not really, but I do regret meeting some of the people I have met along the way. Some of the car owners I sincerely regret.
If you're watching this, he does not mean you.
I don't mean you.
I don't know who you are.
I don't mean you. I mean a different guy. No, actually, most of the car owners are great. Some of them are...
Do they usually
put that in a book later?
Do they usually match who you'd expect? Like the type of owner that buys this car is the level of frustrating you would expect?
Yeah. And the richer the person, the more kind of difficult they tend to be. I will say, I want to give a shout out here to our buddy Manny Kochman, who has a ridiculous group of cars, and you go there thinking, is this guy going to just be annoying? He was like the nicest dude. And even just most down-to-earth, good, like, nice person, listens, talks, like, has all...
Interesting.
Absolutely astonished by it, given that the kind of guy who has a Wyra and a P1 and a Veyron you generally think is probably up to some illegal stuff, and it has some tattoos, that of like, people shooting people. But I liked him a ton. But there have been some other people who are more questionable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And there were some people who were like legitimately questionable. Like, I think later they were arrested.
Who hasn't been?
So there you go. Next question from Rings Q. This is an interesting question that we're going to have very different answers to.
Yep.
What is the oldest model year car you would be willing to buy as a daily driver today? I need adaptive cruise with auto start stop.
Your daily drive is 3 miles to an office.
Not always. I mean,
but like basically,
I do 20,000 miles a year in daily driver cars. So
that's because sometimes your 3 mile drive is 30 because you just do loops of the highway. But you don't need adaptive cruise for that.
I do in my Mercedes and my Sequoia, I do 20,000 miles a year.
10,000 miles of that is driving across the country once.
Well, right,
and fair. Fair.
Right. I want adaptive.
Yeah, that's fair. Then you're still your daily driver.
So for me, it's like 22 for a true daily driver.
Good one.
Nick's gonna say something very different.
Yeah, Nick, go for it.
I mean, my newest car right now is a 2014.
Same.
And like, I think Bluetooth is a nice feature, but you can even add that. Like my Celine Explorer, I put a tape deck that converted to Bluetooth.
That's my Countach, yeah.
So, I mean, I think as long as it runs okay, like I'm pretty good with whatever. Like, I don't think I would want to go to like a Model T.
Your Cayenne with like $100,000 new and doesn't have adaptive cruise.
I think fuel injection.
Oh no, it was very rare on those 9.2A Cayennes.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The Cayenne, by the way, I have retrofitted CarPlay to.
Yeah.
I retrofitted a 991.2 steering wheel to.
Awesome.
I have basically made it a modern Cayenne. No one can tell the difference.
Cayenne looks identical, so nobody.
It pretty much does.
And it did have adaptive cruise. I didn't.
And
spring for
I
that,
have started this. I have started this very controversial viewpoint that not only do I think that the 9.2A, the original 9.2A Cayenne, is the best looking Cayenne. I think it's the only good-looking Cayenne.
He has a second-gen Cayenne, doesn't he?
Yeah, the second-gen 9.2A, which was sold from
original
2011 to 2000.
What was the first one called?
The 9PA. So everybody out here with your 955.
We're going deep on Cayennes here.
In the Porsche, in Porsche, it's the 9PA and the 9.2A. Enthusiasts have renamed them the 955 and the 958, but nobody at Porsche has ever called them that.
And you know why we called it the 958?
Why?
Because the 959 was the greatest Porsche ever built, and this is just slightly behind it.
Oh, what an idiot.
But to answer the question, when fuel injection became standard, so mid-'80s.
You wouldn't drive a carb car every day? Countach starts
as a daily, carb cars can be very temperamental. If it's too warm, it might not start. There's just
people in the 70s got places.
I'm not going to go around with a can of ether and shoot into the carbs every time I can't get home from the grocery store. So
that's a hose pipe and
I draw the line at fuel injection.
Fuel injection. I draw the line at adaptive cruise, and good adaptive cruise. So it's like 2 years ago. Although I am spoiled by the fact that I have, and actually probably drive just as much in terms of seat time, some very special older cars. So even while I say this, it's not even entirely true. Every day I drive to the office in a sports car.
I think my verdict, it depends how we're defining daily driver. My daily drive generally is to the office, and I don't really care. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
It's 2 miles.
Sometimes you
easy.
walk.
Yeah. For like a general, like our like regular family car, I care a lot about safety.
Yeah.
And that sets like a year limit.
Yeah.
Which is probably like 10, 15 years old.
Yeah.
That would have been the correct answer for me. Sorry to my wife.
To my wife, yeah. She listens to this.
Airbags are the correct cutoff, not
well,
fuel
that's
injection.
like 97.
Yeah.
Well, for front single state.
Right.
You really want side curtain.
Right.
Okay, next question. And this is a good one. We'll do two more.
Cars,
Two more.
guys.
Next question.
Only buy zero death cars.
From Gian Qui. To Doug and Filippo, Kenan might think this is sacrilege. We'll see if Nick does. Is there a manual transmission so bad that you would do an auto conversion if no other choice given?
No.
I was thinking about this when I put this question in. I can't think of a car that I would convert away from manual unless I wanted to daily it. Even then, I can't think of one.
There are a lot of bad manuals. I mean, the Toyota Camry was offered with a manual 2 gens ago. It wasn't good.
Well, you can find tips of those so easily.
Or like an S10 or like any like of those older American pickup trucks.
Yeah.
But
again, tips are available.
I've got a hot take that I'm surprised you didn't lead out with. NAS Defenders pre-97 only came in manual.
True.
If you were off-roading, an automatic is strongly preferred, and the market agrees. They were
off-road trucks in general, I think,
still want a manual.
Yeah.
Tips are better.
The 957 Cayenne GTS on your site is a manual. 100 people have sent it to me. I'd be like, oh, it's so cool. It's a manual. It's like, yes, but Cayenne is a daily driver. Like, it might be fun to row your own gears sometimes, but if I'm going to
all of
daycare,
the cars that we're talking about, though, the thing about all the cars we're talking about, though, is they were offered with a tip, so you don't even really need.
We're saying manual.
Well, I get the sense that the thrust of the question is you couldn't get this car with an auto, so you convert it because you're so.
I mean, it's like people could convert Vipers to early Vipers to autos.
Boomers,
or drag racing.
Sure, if I lost my left leg,
if there was a real need,
but then just accept that there's better.
There's not a lot of cars that came in manual only, at least in the last few decades. So like the B7 RS4 was manual only, but
that was a great manual, and that's
even
thinking back before that. Like, there's nothing I would want.
Just enjoy. I mean,
even dual clutch.
I wish I don't care if the manual's bad in a lot of cars. It's just like once you do it for a while, you don't think about it. When I'm driving a section of car, I'm not thinking about
the Countach. The clutch is heavy, the shifter's heavy, but like, would I put a dual clutch in that car? Hell no.
But also, even if it's a shitty one, like all Fiat Pandas are, you just do it. It's like light, it's easy. We last time we were in Europe or in Italy, I rented a camper van that had a manual. It wasn't enjoyable, but like you just do it. It's like. It's a habit.
My dad has a 39 Rolls-Royce Wraith.
Whoa.
With 3 on the tree. So it's a manual transmission.
Manuals on the column are tough.
Any manual on the column, you probably want to, especially a 39 Rolls, like the driving experience, it's meant to be driven.
You just want to put into gear.
And I'm pretty sure it wasn't offered in an automatic since that was not the technology at the time.
All right, we're going to do one more question, and it's a great one, and I'm going to give you a wonderful tip here. This is from Kapura.
Are you going to give him the real tip?
Yeah, I am going to give him the real tip.
Wow.
Doug has talked before about how he takes cross-country trips at speed. What tips would you give to someone who wants to drive quickly from California to New England? Do you use any anti-cop technologies? Okay, this is the real truth of this. I drive every year across the country and back. Twice a year I drive from Southern California to Cape Cod, which is the farthest you can drive. And I used to get a lot of tickets doing this drive.
One a year, basically.
I basically got one a year. And I learned something, which is the following.
Great tip.
If you drive from California to the East Coast,
or literally anywhere,
every state between California and the East Coast is a rear license plate only state, except for 2, which is California and Texas. And what I learned is that all the people in the states between California and Virginia, which is the first 2-plate state that I re-enter, and then every state after that is 2-plate, California, every person in the states of Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Tennessee, they hate Californians and Texans. And so by driving through these states with a front plate, you're basically putting a sign on your car saying, I am a Californian or a Texan. And so they want to pull you over. And I really think in New Mexico, I was pulled over for going 10 over the speed limit and given a ticket. And I really think I was singled out. New Mexico's a one-plate state. So after that, at the Arizona border, I remove my front license plate. And I don't put it back on until I get to Virginia. And since doing that, I haven't changed a single thing about my driving behavior. I continue to drive the exact same speed. And guess what? I have not gotten a ticket.
Can I give a related suggestion? Thanks to our friend Douglas, I have never forget 9/11 remembrance plates on my car, which is like an American flag California plate.
Oh, you think that?
I strongly believe that
actually
also
the real anti-cap thing would be getting Purple Heart plates.
Yeah,
but
or prisoner of war, which I saw yesterday on a car here in
California. Plates are easy to identify. I think do hurt.
California plates are super identifiable, and everyone in the middle of the country hates Californians. And they generally, people in states hate people using their state as like a cut through. And so pulling your front plate is interesting. And also, generally, people in the middle of the country don't like Texans either. Oklahomans, Arkansas, they think Texans get all the glory, and they hate those people. And California and Texas plates look fairly similar if you're a cop sitting on the side of the road with a radar gun. They're both white.
And you're clearly from out of town.
You're definitely from out of town. So it doesn't even matter if you're a Californian or a Texan. Either way, you're an out-of-town jackass, and we hate you. So you pull off the front plate, literally do this at Yuma, Arizona every single time, and I've not gotten a ticket since.
And you don't do any radar detectors or anything else?
Don't need to. Got my front plate off. I look like a local New Mexican now.
Also, as with many car people, I think that we're all pretty good at spotting police officers.
I do run Waze and Google Maps. I don't like Waze as a navigation tool, but as a police spotting tool, it's pretty good. And then Google Maps is a much better navigation.
Of course, Doug's real strategy is to drive exactly the speed limit, and that solves.
Honestly, the last time I did it, I just realized it's not worth.
No,
it's just not worth it.
5 over. 7,
no, I'll
10.
do 10, 14. I think sometimes a 9 to 14. I think they'll generally give you. And the ticket at 14 over is basically nothing anyway, you know.
Whenever I see next service area 30 miles away, I think, all right, I got 29 miles to just book it. This is an Autobahn. That's what that sign means.
All right, that is our podcast today. Nick, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for bringing a P38 Range Rover in. We are now going to take it off-roading, which will be a video that you will see later. I'm bringing a lot of recovery gear in my Sequoia.
I've got a lot of tools as well, so we can remove the battery terminal.
I have a jump box that I'm charging right now.
You're not going far. Will you make it? Will there be an off-roading video?
So I've put about 600 miles on it. As long as it's
50 minutes to the trailhead.
It's left me stranded 4 times, but every time it didn't start. So as long as it starts, it'll get there.
I'm not towing you. I'll tow you if you get stuck off the obstacle. I'm not towing you like
the real risk is I'm in a basement right now that requires going up a car elevator. I'm worried it'll get stuck underground.
We've always been a little worried.
This would be the car to do it.
I have pushed vehicles
to
avoid starting them off.
This is a pretty heavy one, but we can do it.
You do it.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens, and that is our pod for today. It was our best pod yet.
That's right.
Sorry, I'm going to say that at the end of every pod going forward. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching.